Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritually Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a deeper look at the new moon in Virgo. Now, I've been meditating on this over the course of the weekend, of course, seeing how some of the things are playing out in my personal life and with the life of clients and friends and such as that. When I was writing out my notes last week, one of the first things that I noticed was the condition of everyone's chart rulers. There are 12 zodiac signs. Everyone has a planet that is their chart ruler that rules that zodiac sign that does an impact on our daily lives. It's very important to always pay attention to what's going on with your chart ruler whenever we do any type of transit. And of the 12 zodiac signs, seven of the chart rulers are in what's known as a cadent house. So, quick little lesson for everybody. If you take your houses and you simplify them down, your first, fourth, seventh, and 10th are your angular houses. They're your more dominant houses. They impact you as a person, as you're experiencing things. There are a lot more activities in the daily life whenever your angular houses are activated. The succeedent houses succeed the angular houses in the sense of like, once we experience something, once we claim something, once we have something, once we know something, now we need to put it to use. You earn the money, you use the money. This is a good way to look at it. The second and eighth house, the money houses, they are this succeedent houses. So that's why I put it that way. Whenever it comes to our loved ones and our children, they are the use or the production of having a good home life. Air quotations on that. Cadent houses are a little bit different though. And considering seven of the individual signs, their chart ruler are in cadent houses, that tells me that the dominant part of this energy, the aftermath of the Mercury retrograde, the new moon in Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, a newly direct stationed Mercury, is we need to understand something. Something has changed. Our opinion of something has changed. Our attention to a certain detail has changed. Our desire for something has changed. And we need to be able to understand. There's something that we must learn. There's something that we must teach and communicate differently because someone else has had something change and they are more receptive and open to knowledge. It is a new moon in Virgo. Now, for a lot of people, this knowledge has something tangible tied to it. There is truly a learning lesson in the moment, in the energy that is going to allow for us to shape not only parts of our mind, because Mercury, the ruler of the new moon, rules our logical mind, but it also puts something back into perspective to make us refocus what is important to us. Some of us, we were doing something just to be doing it. And then after all of the stress and the hoopla and everything else comes around, you're like, I don't feel the same way. I don't like it the same way. I don't want to do this. The stress, the anxiety, the frustration, the pressure has made us tired. And I said this in the week ahead episode too. We're very, very tired. There's something about this new moon that does hearken to new beginnings for some people. For a lot more, it feels like a new understanding, a new mindset, a change in plans. Again, going back to the drawing board. We decided to do something earlier this year or even further back, depending on what timeline we're talking about, that felt like a good idea. Like, yeah, that sounds like easy money. I'm in, I'm game, whatever. I don't care. You should have cared. You should have looked deeper. You should have asked more questions. When we jump into something willy-nilly, it's very often that it comes back around that maybe this was one of the things that we're learning a lesson in the moment, and maybe I shouldn't have been quite in this mess. Just maybe. Maybe. For other people, you caused the mess. you're in trouble. You did it in some way, shape, or form. Because the majority of the rest of the chart, it's not their cadent houses that are activated. No, no. It is their angular houses. It is their first, their fourth, their seventh, or their 10th. And there's something about this that is pivoting direction. Some of you, you've been the issue. You've caused the trouble. In good ways and bad ways. Sometimes you're causing the trouble as I'm going to clean up this mess. We are going to create an order. I'm sick of the bullshit. I'm sick of the nonsense. No, I'm tired. We're fixing this. And other people were like, oh, all right, so you're in charge. Okay, got it. I got it. And they're going to understand that they are not in charge the way that they thought they were. You are in charge. You are pushing something forward. And everyone's kind of in different places. Now, if it comes to the idea of weight in this new moon, I don't feel direct weight in the moment. I actually feel like for a lot more people, it is very relaxed. But I do feel like there is something that is coming to light. There's a change in opinion. There's a change in the ideas. There's a change in the motion. And again, we're realizing something in some way, shape, or form, whether it is big picture or small little mundane things, it doesn't really matter. We're realizing, maybe that wasn't the way to go. Maybe I could have did something different. Maybe I should rethink this idea, rethink this plan, rethink this move. Maybe I shouldn't have moved out of my parents' house and I should have, not moved in with this random person and made them my roommate. Hell, they stole half my shit. They've ruined half my stuff. Like I'm saying things that sometimes we think we've got everything figured out. And come to find out, we didn't have anything figured out. We just experienced one of those random life lessons. We jumped the gun. And now we have some level of lessons to surpass the idea of jumping the gun. Mercury rules, again, our logical mind, communications. Mercury rules travel. And the other thing that I think a lot of people can be doing in this new moon is talking about travel because, again, we're tired and we need a freaking break. And whether that was a short bit of travel or a long bit of travel, doesn't matter. Long weekend away. It's okay. There can also be things tied to marketing and communication and planning. And a lot of planning. But this is new planning. It is part of going back to the drawing board because we need to reshape something, repurpose something, redo something. But it's going to allow for the new planning. Now, I want to be clear about that part. Not everybody is making drastic, hardcore, big picture, small picture, whatever plans directly during the new moon. They're not. However, there will be some tossing around ideas, sitting with your best friend, sitting with your business partner, sitting with your life partner. It doesn't really matter. And we're just spitballing. I know that's a very country way to say, round circle, whatever, but it's the truth. I talk how I talk. Y'all know that already. There's a lot of spitballing. We have to bounce some ideas off of other people. We're realizing something hasn't worked quite the way that we thought it was going to. And the spitballing of ideas that start to come through between now and the middle of the month can directly impact the start of eclipse season. And again, eclipse season starts September 17th. We're right on that trajectory. We are. The thing about Mercury is hosting Jupiter. And Jupiter is that traditional ruler of Pisces. And again, the September 17th eclipse is going to be in Pisces. We're spitballing for a reason. We're talking about different possibilities for a reason. We're trying to work out and negotiate some type of information, some type of plan, some type of situation for a reason. Because we're starting to realize, again, because the writing is on the wall, the truth that we thought we knew is not quite the truth. The facts we thought we knew were not quite the facts, and something has changed. Something has adjusted. Are we making big adjustments in this moment, in this new moon? No. Instead, I think we're starting to understand the adjustments are necessary. And it's just one more layer for everything else that I've already talked about that screams, we're going back to the drawing board. Many, many people are going back to the drawing board. We have one more round of something that needs to be dealt with. Because again, one of the things that happened right before this new moon was Pluto went back into Capricorn. He's only going to be there for 2.5 months. By Thanksgiving, he's done. And it's done for our lifetimes and our kids' lifetimes and our grandkids and our grandkids and our grandkids. Like, it's going to be a long time. So there's some spitballing. There's some awareness, little by little, that'll set in more and more throughout the week of an action that we need to take to revise, to replan, to redo something. Because we know something that we were previously inspired to do, we previously believed was the right thing to do, we previously thought was always going to work out, wasn't quite what we thought it was. We've had to go back to the drawing board. And I feel like for a lot more people in this new moon, it's the conversation pieces, it's the lessons, it's the communication, it's the spitballing that we need to circle around, because it's going to make us understand where we do need to have action, or where we will see action and can expect action in the weeks ahead. And when I'm saying weeks right now, I'm talking about eclipse season. So that's going to be basically 6 weeks. Put that part in perspective. Okay. So for those that have never seen a new moon or full moon video, that is okay. I read everything from a whole house system. So in my opinion, I do not care if your ascendant is at 2 degrees or 22 degrees. The entire zodiac sign that your ascendant is located in is your first house. And everything that follows is associated with the next numerical house. Okay, moving along, we're going to get this up. And we're going to start, of course, with Aries and Aries rising. You hot-headed babies. Guess where your chart ruler is? It's in that little house I was talking about. It's in that Cadent house where we must understand something. Yeah. Mars is in Gemini. This is a new moon ruled by Mercury, and Mercury rules Gemini. Now, Mercury just had a retrograde in your 5th house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, and children. This new moon is in your 6th house of work. How you care for yourself, how you care for other people, health. Some of you might be realizing that there is some health matters going on with one of your children, with a loved one. Some of you might be going back to someplace from your childhood, and it makes you aware of something that needs to still be taken care of, something that can be very beneficial for you in the long run. It's not heavy energy, but there's definitely something that needs to be understood given the condition of your chart ruler. Now, the one thing I didn't really cover in the entry for everybody is the fact that Mars is going through the square with Neptune as we move forward. And I feel like for most people, they need to be going through the Mars activations, or in your case, this is your chart ruler, to know that there's something that we're going to be doing different. We need to be inspired. Neptune speaks to some level of a desire, It's a higher octave of Venus, but it knows no bounds. And there can be inspiration just as much as there can be delusion in the energy that we are about to go into. But I do feel like for a lot more of you, there is a level of inspiration that is a part of the agenda, given the way this is all kind of lining out. Now, your cards kind of speak to this as well. So again, we have a new moon in Virgo, and we have the eight. Oh, come on, 8 of coins. There you go. This is a work card. We have work to be done. Look at the anvil. Very Mars. Very, very Mars. We also have this Ace of Wands. There is a passion. There is a new idea. There is a new purpose. There are new things coming that have the potential of being very, very strong, very, very sound, very, very successful, reaching a lot of long-term goals with this right here. So I like that part for you. But I also feel, given how we're going to go whenever it gets into eclipse season, it ain't just you in the mix. There are other people, there are other players. And that speaks to the next few cards. We have the Queen of Swords, we have the Queen of Wands, and we have this Knight of Cups. So I'm putting all those there for you guys to be able to see. The thing about this energy right here is that the Queen of Swords, there is no emotions. The Queen of Wands is very driven and very motivated. The Queen of Wands can very well be your guys' energy for a lot of you. We have a path in mind. And even if we're being inspired by somebody that has some type of hope to cure all the ailments in the world or build something that's going to be for the greater good of everybody, some of you aren't hopping on board because of what the big picture is going to be for everybody in the world. It's not like a philanthropy thing. It's more along the lines of, I feel a challenge. And many of you can be challenged. If you are dealing with the health things, what can start to come through can be an awareness of something that's going on in health that's either impacting siblings because of the people involved or other members of your family, specifically mothers and matrons. For a lot more of you, though, given the Neptune-Mars square, that's a travel aspect. Neptune is into the unknown in the 12th house. Mars is in that 3rd house of travel. Some of you might be looking at traveling some places you've never explored before because you want to know if they are going to be a good environment for you and your family moving forward. Be prepared for that also. There can be big moves that come through, family moves, household moves for many, many Aries risings in the next 6 months. And that's because of all of Mars and Cancer and what it's going to do. For some people, what's going to start to happen once Mars goes into Cancer is going to have to do with family. For others, it is going to have to do with the health of family. For others, it could be the health of yourself, but something that is genetic and that has been inherited from a member of the family. You need to understand something in this moment, in this energy, and even the smallest conversation can be a key note for something that you need to be aware of later. We're planting a seed. Even though you don't have the 7 of coins here, there's a planting of the seed that is coming into this energy, especially for you guys. Okay, moving along. Moving along, we're gonna get to Taurus and Taurus risings. All my loves, my loves, my loves. Your chart ruler is in that Cadent house. Where is Venus? In Libra, in her other home sign, which is your 6th house of health. How you care for yourself, how you care for other people. It's also a work house. How you are of service. Many of you are having to do some things to take care of other people. Many of you are starting to realize that you have to do additional things in your daily life so you can take care of yourself, because Venus is getting very, very close to that South Node energy. Be aware of that. Now, the new moon in Virgo is in your 5th house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, children. For some people, realizing what's going to make everyone happy is going to be a good home life, especially if it comes to kids. Kids need a routine. Kids need things that are going to make them feel safe, make them feel secure. And ironically enough, routine does that. Not everybody's good at providing routine for their kids because they have to learn to provide a routine for themselves. You are stuck trying to understand the better way to make everything happen. There is a way to get unstuck. You just have to try. Now, the other thing that is going on is the Mars-Neptune square. And I didn't put too much emphasis on this whenever it came to the intro. I'm doing this more for each individual sign. Neptune is going to square Mars in the timeline of this new moon. Neptune is in your 11th house of friends and networking, clients and colleagues, your hopes and dreams for the future, community. And it's squaring Mars in that second house of money. There can also be things that start to impact your household that are financially related. Now, some of you, in the most mundane sense, you're spending a little extra money during this new moon. Maybe it's because of the travel. Maybe it's because of wanting to do some additional things in self-care. That's okay. But for others, you're having an issue with the fact that somebody owes you money. They haven't been paying up. It's like they've been in hiding. They don't want to do the right thing. And they think if they give you enough time, you're just not going to remember. You're going to forget. They're just going to slip your mind. They obviously don't know you very well. But I do. I know better. I know how you guys feel about your money. All right, so let's talk about this. Do not be surprised if you're doing any type of additional spending during the weekend. Some of this, it's going to be because you need the additional levels of self-care and pampering, and you need something just to make you feel whole and happy. Some of you, you're doing the additional spending for your loved ones, for your children. Others, it is because we need to do these things that help us, again, secure that level of routine that we haven't been able to accomplish, or that we let fall to the wayside over the course of the summer, because now we're into a new school year. So we have the Page of Cups. Again, this is a new moon in your 5th house of love, luck, romance, happiness, and children. Pages a lot of the times can be children, okay? Then we also have the Hangman and the Hierophant. The Hangman is an energy about feeling stuck, but the Hangman can get unstuck at any time. Sometimes we get stuck in situations by choice. That's a hard pill to swallow. The Hierophant can have a lot to do with traditions, but it can also have a lot to do with institutions. Sometimes whenever we are starting to deal with things in someone's health, or realize there's something going on in someone's health, we end up having to do the extra steps in that level of institutions. That's taking on going to the doctor, taking someone else to the doctor, to the hospital, a loved one, something that has been dormant for some time. Now, I've got the Hermit card here, and I want to kind of explain this in 2 different levels, because this is that universal type of reading for all Taurus risings, and everybody's in different stages of life. If somebody is hiding and they owe you money, there's that Hermit card. But at the same time, if somebody's going through a health issue, they're frustrated with something going on in their body, it ain't new. They've been sitting on it for a while. They just didn't want everyone else to know about it. Oh, look at that World card. They didn't want everyone else to know about it. The bad thing, whether it's you, Taurus risings, or someone else that you love, is like when something starts to go wrong, we never want to be a bother to anyone else. We're so, flustered at the idea of taking up someone else's time. But really, whenever it comes down to it, it's time to start looking at this and start to pay attention to what is going on. The things that are starting to impact the body, for those that are doing either with your health or someone else's health, the things that are starting to impact the body, the symptoms have been there for longer. It's just people weren't noticing them. But you are starting to notice them now. You are starting to realize it now. And there can be some things that start to come up in people's health that really start to create a different kind of struggle that we weren't necessarily prepared for. And I'm going to remind everybody again that after we get through later parts of this week, Mars is going to enter Cancer. For you, that's the 3rd house of travel. There could be some additional things that start to happen with family members and their health. that require you to do additional levels of travel with them and for them, doing the additional levels of going to the doctor, getting care, getting whatever is necessary. And I need you all to be understanding of that and be prepared for that. Many of you are going to have to step up in the weeks ahead for someone in your surroundings. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Gemini and Gemini risings. Hello, my loves. This is a new moon in your fourth house of home life, family, roots, ancestry, genetics. Now, not a lot of astrologers will include genetics in the fourth house, but I do because I've seen how it plays out. There can be things that are going on that are impacting the family. It could have to do with the things that we can inherit. It can have to do with the things that we've inherited genetically. Considering Mars, Jupiter in your first house, for a lot of people, it's built up a lot of confidence. For other people, it has made you aware of something wrong in your body. And this Mercury retrograde brought even more to the surface for a lot of you. And you're going to start to realize that the thing that's impacting your health isn't just you. It's impacted your siblings. It's impacted your children because it's genetic. Certain things need to come to light. Jupiter expands anything and everything that it touches. Mars makes you a lot more clumsy. And some of you have had a physical event that led to an awareness of something in your body because Mars made you clumsy, made you bitchy, made you a lot more forthright with your words. That's for sure. We don't want to sit still. We don't want to just take it on the chin. No. We got things to say. Now, you are ruled by Mercury. And even though this is a new moon in your fourth house of home life, and family, it is in that angular house. Your chart ruler, Mercury, is still in the Cadent house. So this is going back to what I was saying in the intro. There is something we need to learn, understand, teach, communicate. Mercury is in that third house. Now, for some of you, whatever we are communicating is going to be something that must be revealed. It must be something that comes to light. For some of you, there will be something that is revealed and comes to light from a family member, and most specifically, the potential of a sibling, because the third house also has to do with siblings. Things are going on in the family. Now, doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. I said it before. I really like the energy in September. I feel like there's a lot of potential in September. And I feel like as a lot of you get closer to eclipse season, you're going to see a whole different potential in the way we see the future. But the thing is like, for us to get to that point, we have to get through these next few weeks. And there is something in these next few weeks that you deeply need to understand so that way you can lean more into where you're going next in that path, in that direction for your future. I love your cards, by the way. Okay, moving along. Oh, we have the Three of Wands. The thing about the Three of Wands in the traditional deck is this is an energy where we are more recognizing of what is going on in the world around us. Whether people are coming and going, doesn't matter. We're there. If they're leaving, we're waving goodbye. We are their support, baby. I got your back. I will be here when you need me later. It is okay. If people are coming in, welcome. I got space. I got a guest house. We got bunk beds. Whatever you need. It's cool. We got it. It doesn't matter what's going on in your surroundings. You're in the right spot at the right time with this Three of Wands. The next two cards we have are the World card and the Hierophant. Now, the thing about where we're going over these next few weeks, it is leaning into an out of sign eclipse that's going to happen in your 10th house. There's a reason we need to understand something right now. Jupiter is one of the rulers of that upcoming eclipse. Jupiter is in your first house. There's a lot of attention on you. There's a lot of focus on you, but there's also a lot of decisions within you that must be made, that must be understood, that are going to, again, impact where we're going next in the future. That World card and that Hierophant card speaks to that in volumes. But beyond that, so do the next few cards. We have the moon card. What I love about the moon card is the fact that the moon does not give light, it reflects it. And sometimes we get a reflection of certain outcomes, of certain stories, of certain things that need to happen or will happen, but they're not necessarily all happening in one moment. And do expect some news and certain information to be revealed. Expect certain feelings and emotions in the weeks ahead. Remember, the moon rules Cancer. Mars is about to spend 2 months in Cancer. Expect a lot of emotional things to come to the surface based off of some of the stuff you have stirred up, because Mars has been in Gemini for the last 6-7 weeks. Now, why would I say it that way? Mars makes you more ambitious. It pushes you forward. It makes you more aggressive, clumsy, yes, but aggressive. And you guys have been pushing for something to happen. And in little ways, it hasn't happened quite yet. But as we get closer to that out of sign eclipse, I think you're going to see the potential of where things are going to happen. And this takes me to your last two cards. And these are beautiful, by the way. We have the 9 of Coins. We have the 10 of Cups. I love this. I love it. The 9 of Coins is boss bitch energy. I've always said that about the 9 of Coins. It is a woman going through a garden. She planted those seeds. She grew these crops. She is harvesting everything. She is selling everything. The money and the profits from that go into her pocket, baby. You do it by yourself. Boss bitch energy. But the 10 of Cups is happiness. Jupiter rules your 7th house of relationships. Jupiter rules that 7th house of partnerships and commitments and connections to other people, as well as that 10th house of career, your goals, your public image. The decisions you have been making are going to have a big potential in where you're going next and who you're connecting with next. Be aware of that. There is something you need to understand in the moment, whether it has to do with your family and how their family moves forward, or whether it has to do with you yourself as an individual on how you move forward. There is something that needs to be understood. There is a path and a direction that is starting to unfold. And for many of you, you've already made the decisions to make that unfolding happen. Now we need to watch it unfold. We need to learn in the moment, and we need to understand something. I think you'll do well. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Cancers and Cancer risings. Oh, my loves. Hey, going back to everything I just said about the cadent houses in the beginning, the new moon is in your 3rd house. It is in a cadent house. The moon is your chart ruler. It's in a cadent house. There is something we need to learn. There is something that we need to understand. And for many of you, what you are learning, what you are starting to understand is going to help you rectify things in regards to the past, in regards to healing, in allowing for you to take more control with the steps you take moving forward. Because some of you are about to become very motivated, very driven, and i.e., in some ways, a little controlling. Now, why do I say that? Of course, you have cards jump out as soon as I start shuffling. Why do I say that? This is a new moon in your 3rd house. It's communications, marketing, branding, learning. There's a lot of like minimal learning that we get with the 3rd house. It can also have to do with siblings, doing something with your siblings in the moment. But the deeper levels beyond the most mundane, you could be spending the weekend with your siblings, but taking a certain action or having something come through over the course of the next week that really kicks you into gear. Now, why do I say that? Oh, during this new moon, we also have the Neptune-Mars square. And I didn't do too heavy on this in the intro. I'm going to say this to everybody because I want to put this more into focus for each individual sign because it's so different for every individual sign. But there's something that is starting to take shape that is going to allow for us to take steps forward in a whole new way. Now, Neptune is in your 9th house. That's a travel house. The new moon is in your 3rd house. That's a travel house. Mars is in your 12th house. It's also a travel house, but these are also houses of learning, understanding, and healing. We need to understand something. We need to learn something. And after we learn something, whether it is a good thing or a bad thing, for many of you, it is going to be something that impacts your family, whether we are traveling somewhere for good reasons or bad reasons. It's like once we're done with the situation, it really puts something into perspective, because then Mars later this week is going to move into your first house. And babies, I need you to understand, most of the next 9 months, you're going to have Mars in your first house. 2 months direct, 2 months retrograde, and then another 2 months direct. Now, that's not even going to be in a continuous flow with the way that I said that. So I really shouldn't just say, I should say 8 months, most of the next 8 months. But Mars is about to come into your first house. And I'm going to warn you of this right now. When Mars comes into your first house, you are going to be extra bitchy. You are going to be extra motivated. And many of you are going to be very, very clumsy. That could be a good thing. That can be a bad thing. Do not be surprised when you have those moments where you're like, where did this bruise come from? I don't even know how this happened. Yeah. Mars can do that to you. Mars can also bring a lot of attention to you. And considering Pluto is now back in your 7th house of relationships, I need you all to realize that there are a lot of lessons tied to relationships that we need to wrap up. And you can have someone from the past, potentially someone new that has a familiar energy imprint, more likely, to see if you have learned your lessons in relationships. Again, this is a new moon in your 3rd house. There are things that we must learn, and there will be things that speak to how we handle relationships moving forward. Make sure I have all the right cards. Okay, so here's your Lover's card, by the way. Mars is about to come back into your first house. Mars can actually make you hypersexualized, by the way. But Pluto has just retrograded back into your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, and legal matters. There are going to be things that need to be discussed, renegotiated, recommunicated, and learned tied to the other side. Now, for some of you, that's going to have to do with romantic relationships. For some of you, that is going to have to do with a business partnership. And given the next 2 cards that we have here, we have this Page of Swords and this 4 of Swords. I'm telling you now, when it comes to relationships and the potential of people coming back around, or whatever is coming back around, whatever our unfinished business with Pluto and Capricorn is, we need to stick to the facts. Stick to the facts. Stick to what we know. Stick to what can be proven. Stick to what is real. If somebody comes into your life with the potential of a relationship, we need to watch their actions just as much as we hear those words, because a lot of people have a bad habit of saying, oh, I can do anything you need me to do. It's okay. It's great. With the magician, it's like an alchemy energy. He can be anything. He's very moldable, very mercurial, very Gemini, very Virgo. I can flex and fluctuate into anything you want me to be. But the thing is, what happens when you're bored with this energy? What happens when you're bored with being that person? And some of the information, some of the things that have been created in front of you, you can see were fake. They were a fallacy. They weren't real. We have the Ace of Coins and the 8 of Coins. Be very, very aware of the new people, the new relationships, the new situations that are coming back around right now. Be very aware of this, because they are something that is teaching you something. These are the previous cards all over again. What I love about the 4 of Swords is, in the traditional deck, it is a man laying on top of an empty casket with a sword next to him and 3 on the wall. If we are in preparation for something, and I feel like more people are in preparation mode, even though you don't even realize it, the man does not anticipate coming back from battle alive. So he's laying on top of the empty casket that he intends to be buried in once he returns. For many of you, you're at the beginning of something. and you feel like you are prepared for the worst, you're going to get tested. This is, again, a new moon in a house of learning. Later on in 2025, the eclipse axis will be in this area. So I need you to understand, again, the presence and the startup of lessons in how you're moving forward, lessons in how you're learning from the past, lessons in how you're not going to stay in toxic situations. We're at the start of something for Cancer risings that is going to last a very long time into the first half of 2025. You're about to be learning something. School is in session. There wasn't a bell. I'm sorry for that, but I'm warning you now. That's where we're at. Okay. Moving along. Leos and Leo risings, babies. Now, this is not an angular, a cadent placement for you guys. This goes a little bit more angular in a lot of ways, but also succeedent in others. Now, why do I say that? Oh, this is a new moon in your second house of money, your assets, your stuff. But the ruler of this new moon is in your first house. So a lot of what's gone on in the last few weeks has been based off of your decisions, your opportunities, your pushing. Many of you have had to push for some things to happen. And now you're finally going to see the results and how you can use all of the energy of the last few months to your advantage, how you can move forward from here. And I like that for you in many, many ways. Now, I am going to warn a lot of you, because I've actually had to do this in people's individual sessions as well as now here on the channel. Mercury rules your 11th house of friends, network, clients, and colleagues just as much as your second house of money and assets. And many Leo risings had someone from the past come back around during the Mercury retrograde. And it was a lesson in understanding the difference between a friend and a lover. You guys are in a year-long lesson of understanding the difference between a friend and a lover. And you're really going to see that between the Mercury retrograde we just had, the Mercury retrograde we're going to have at the end of the year, and the one that's going to happen in March. I think it's all March. It might go into April a little bit, but it's mostly March of next year. There are lessons in regards to knowing the difference between a friend and a lover. Many of you have met someone new and you see all this promise, all this hope, all these dreams, and we can put a lot of faith into something that we don't necessarily know that we're seeing clearly. It really kind of comes down to if anyone has come through in that way in the last few weeks, especially during that Mercury retrograde. There were lessons to that. They are the start of lessons, and many of you were not prepared for that. Others, however, you have had something in regards to legal matters, something going on with another person that is starting to impact your career. And now you're realizing like some plan that you had for the future might not be quite the way you're seeing it and might not be as exciting as you thought it was going to be. We can start to see that something has just not gone quite to plan and is making us wonder, did we make the right decisions? Many of you did. Many of you did. I don't want you to second guess your decisions. I want you to be prepared for the worst and hope for the best. I'm looking at all your cards because I feel like I got something extra out of this that I wasn't supposed to get, so I apologize. A group of them popped out. But whenever a group pops out and I only get like one face card showing and not multiple face cards showing, then I only take the top card. So that for those that need to understand how I'm doing this. Okay. Oh, a new path, new opportunity, a secondary option of some sort. the Two of Wands is very much like the fork in the road. We have gone this way for so long in so many different ways, but now another opportunity, another path, another potential comes through, and there could be a new beginning. For many of you, if you're going into this new beginning, there's a financial element involved. We got to put down deposits. We got to look at the rent. We got to compare options. And many of you are looking at the potential of something, and you are making big preparations for the levels of change. Here's that Three of Wands still, I'm sorry, Two of Wands, and the Four of Swords. Trying to get that to come into focus, focus, focus. Okay, there we go. Now, I said Three of Wands, and there's a reason why I'm saying that. Many of you are going to need the help of people in your surroundings for where you're going next, whether that is going next in business and you need to make sure you have the right team, whether that is moving and making sure you have the right people helping you, having those things lined out. We have something that we are looking at that is going to allow for you to finally make the changes that have been necessary for your soul to feel more confident and feel more in control, for you to be able to heal certain things from the past. And I like that part for you with this Death card. Now, I don't know how I feel about these next two. I should feel good about one of them, but given this Death card and the other card that's going to be with it, I don't know how I feel about it. So we have the King of Swords. We have the Ten of Cups. What I said from the beginning is Mercury rules your 11th house of friends, and part of the Mercury retrograde can bring certain people into your life that makes it very, very easy for us to confuse friends for lovers. Some of you are starting to separate from other people in this transformation energy, and we're realizing that some of the people that we've had relations with in the past should have never been anything more than a friend. Others, however, are looking at the potential of someone that has come through, and we feel like all of our hopes and dreams can be fulfilled by this person. I don't agree with that. If you had people coming through in the last month and a half, there is something directly about the last month and a half that directly impacts the Mars retrograde that starts in your first house in December. We can be in a moment where we think it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows, but then our decisions can come back to bite us later this year. And I need people to be prepared for that. Have your eyes open in the connections that you are making, in the relationships that you are making. Don't go into something blindly. It will have a negative impact. Now, I'm going to add a layer to that. Pluto has done its first little stint in that 7th house of relationships. And this is another reason why I'm saying we have lessons in understanding the difference between a friend and a lover. But we also have unfinished business with Pluto and Capricorn. And many of you are going to have something that either impacts your health, your routine, or the health of another in this energy. And I need you all to be prepared for that also. Some of you have something that needs to close out directly in regards to health and care and service. And it's either going to be something that closes out over the course of the next 2 to 3 months, just because Pluto is back in Capricorn. But some of you, whatever that closeout is, might not actually fully close out until we get into the spring eclipses, because we need that final round of the Mars energy. And I don't know why I'm associating the Mars Pluto with you guys in this regard, because Scorpio is not really activated. But I do feel like there can be something tied to additional levels of knowledge of an institution that can come through later, based off of how we're getting over something in your health. I need a lot of you to be prepared that Mars retrograde is not going to be something that later on, it's not going to be something that's going to be relationship related, but it can be something that is health related. Okay. Moving along. We are going to get into Virgos and Virgo risings. Oh, my loves. This is a new moon in your first house. You're the problem. You did it. It's all your fault. I'm angry with you. Not really. I'm just being ornery. I think you all know that by now. I hope you do. But there is a new beginning focused on you. However, your chart ruler is in that 12th house. And that 12th house, again, that is a cadent house. There's something that we need to understand. There's something that we need to look at ending. Mercury is in that 12th house. There is something that we need to heal. And for us to be able to move forward and to be able to heal and to be able to take steps in a better direction, we need to make decisions. Now, not every decision is going to be an easy decision. And I will admit that Neptune Mars square, which I didn't really cover in the intro, I've been saving this for each individual sign that I feel like it's applicable to. And obviously it's applicable to you guys. Neptune is in that 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. And for many people, Neptune at 29 degrees, it is dissolving a partnership. It is dissolving a commitment. It is taking something out of the equation. And we can feel something between us and another person that is starting to fade away. Now, that can be your marriage, but that can also be a friendship. That can also be a business partnership. There's something between you and another person that's not quite fitting the way that we thought. Neptune is in the square to Mars in your 10th house of career, in your 10th house of public image, your goals for the future, how you are meant to shine. Many of you have had to take actions in the last month to go in a new direction, to do something, and another person is just not feeling it the same way as we are. They're not as supportive. Do you see the potential? Absolutely. Can you do something very, very well? Absolutely. Does that mean everybody is on board with you, on the same page as you? Are they meant to move forward with you? No. Mercury in your 12th house, again, Mercury is your chart ruler. In your 12th house is, again, making us aware of something that we need to let go of, someone that we need to let go of. For many of you, it is someone from the past. We are wanting to be seen differently, or we are wanting to achieve differently. We are wanting to do something differently. And for us to do that, we need to take certain steps forward in letting go of the past, in letting go of an old mindset and an old way of doing things. There are reasons for that. Okay. Your first two cards that popped out were the Knight of Wands and the Eight of Swords. You have new steps forward that you must take. Before you can take these steps forward, there's something that we must reconcile. There is something that we must close out. There is something from the past. Now, the thing about Mercury in your 12th house is, for some of you, it is all about the past and healing and being stuck in our head. But for others of you, you might be traveling to a foreign place, traveling somewhere you just never been before, going outside of the norm. Because again, by going to that retreat, by going to that location, it is going to allow for you to heal or to close something out. Neptune in that square to Mars, Neptune is trying to wrap up its trip in your 7th house of relationships. There's certain relationships from the past, certain people from the past that we were a little delulu about in regards to how good the connection was. And some of us need closure in that regard. And Mars' square from Neptune is the one that's going to instigate levels of closure and also allow for something new to start to come through. We have the Strength card and we have the Fool card. The Fool card is all about new beginnings, charging ahead, going in a new direction. We need to take something into some new direction. It is a new moon in your first house. And the potential in the long run of how this can work out for you, your final two cards, 10 of Coins and the Emperor. The 10 of Coins is our perfect 10. It is happiness in relationship. It is happiness in marriage. It is a good way of making money and being productive and making a profit. But that Emperor is a man that is stuck in his ways. And this takes me back to parts of that energy from the past. You have a desire to charge ahead. You have a desire to do something new, but we can be very attached to someone that is set in their ways. And again, they're not seeing the potential of where we're going next, of what you're doing next. And that can create a weight inside of you. Now, some of you, if you're stuck in a relationship and that other person is not game, they're not doing things the way that you desire, we can immediately go to, well, maybe that means we're supposed to get divorced. Maybe we're not going to make it through. Maybe we're not meant to be together. That's not always the case. Some of you, that is the case. And you need to, again, continue those certain steps into moving forward. For others, though, the way that you see the potential of your career and the potential of where you're wanting to go next, you're just hoping that that other side can come around. And this is where we need to have patience. If you are in a partnership or you are trying to do something and there are certain people around you that are not supporting what you're doing and where you ultimately want to go in happiness, don't allow for their potential negativity to weigh you down. These are still the same cards, by the way. Don't allow for that to be the case. Do whatever is necessary for you to find your strength, to charge ahead in your new direction, in your new ways, without the fear of the other person with that Eight of Swords. Don't let them weigh you down. Just don't. Okay. Moving along, we're going to Libras and Libra risings. Okay, my loves. Oh, this is a new moon in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, endings, healing, blindsiding, things from the past. Now, I have been warning you Libra risings for a while because that next set of eclipses, one of them's in your first house. This is the last new moon before that first house eclipse. So there can be a lot of things that require an undoing. I want to be clear about that. Your chart ruler, Venus, is in the angular house. It's in your first house. There is some attention on you, your mind, your body, your health. If it's not your health, then it is the health of another person, specifically a family member. If it is your health, it could be something that has always been happening, but it hadn't quite been activated in some way. For some of you, it's not about health. It's something that you inherited, but not necessarily always about health. For some of you, there's going to be a lot of big things that start to impact your career. And again, for some of you, that is your own undoing. It is your own decisions that got you to this point. There is something about how you see the energy moving forward that is starting to make you change the way you see the potential of the future. And that can be a good thing, but that can also be a bad thing. It really kind of depends on how some of the rest of this energy is playing out. Now, sorry. Oh, Mercury, the ruler of this new moon, is in your 11th house of friends and networking, clients and colleagues. You guys are the exception to what I said in the intro. Your chart ruler is in the angular house. The new moon itself is in that energy of cadence of where we need to understand something, of where we need to learn something. But whatever you're learning, it's a lesson you brought on. It's a lesson you brought to the surface, that you brought to light. Or if it's something that's going on behind the scenes or something that's going on in the health, it is most likely your health. It is something that you need to be aware of in your body, what you need to be doing different to take care of yourself. And again, for a lot of people, it's something that's been there below the surface for a very, very long time with the Seven of Coins. And for some of you, you're going to learn something that has been in your genetics that maybe hasn't been active for a long time. Like, oh, you have a genetic predisposition for diabetes at a young age. What? For high cholesterol, for this, like whatever it is. The thing about Neptune in the 6th house is like, I've seen this come into the most rarest form of illness. And during this new moon, Neptune is in a square to Mars. And Mars is in your 9th house. So that's a travel house, but it's also got a lot to do with institutions. And there can be things that we need to learn to understand, certain truths coming to light, but truths don't have to necessarily be truth. They can also be certain verdicts for some, certain results and diagnoses for others. Things that we need to then pursue to gain more knowledge about. And there's a lot of preparation that's coming through because that preparation is going to impact us for eclipse season. We have the Death card, we have the Six of Cups, and we have the 10 of Coins. These are your next 3 cards. Ooh, there we go. Now the Death card, it can literally mean about death, but it can also mean about transformation, something that needs to transform within you. And for you to understand what that transformation is going to be, something needs to be triggered deep within, something needs to be understood that we didn't understand before. And once we get to a certain level of understanding, it's going to allow for us to create something new in our routine, put something together in a better way that we can start to change the way we interact with certain people. And for some of you, if this has to do with like work energy, then it is going to allow for something very, very happy moving forward. But I don't mean that in the immediate sense. Oh, something has to come to a close first. So it's very, very hard energy. Some of you, whatever is starting to happen behind your back with the new moon in your 12th has to do with another person, because Mercury is in that 11th house of friends. Friends, network, clients, colleagues. There can also be a friend from the past that comes back through that upon sitting with them and talking with them and working with them in whatever way, that they make you aware of like there's something different that you're desiring in your life that you didn't realize before that you desired. And it's going to help you overcome something, help you work through something, help you get past something. So be prepared for that also. For the majority of us, there is something that needs to be understood. For you, I don't know that the understanding will be immediate. I don't know that the verdict or the results will be immediate, but it can be something that takes place over the course of the next 2 weeks moving ahead. And this can be something that creates major disruptions for you in career, for you in your public image, for you in your goals. But whatever is starting to unfold, the attention is already on you. The decisions made to make that unfold, it's already happened. We're in the motion. We're in the energy. And it's kind of like the floodgate situation. You can't really close the floodgates once they're open. Floodgates are open. What comes through those gates can't be controlled. Hopefully, you've been doing things from a very upstanding area, because then you're not going to be worried about what comes through those gates. But for some of you, it's going to be something else. And I know I keep warning you the same thing, but it is the truth. And many of you are about to have some major changes that are going to start to impact you as an individual, literally over the next 2 months. The floodgates are open. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Scorpios and Scorpio risings. Hi, babies. We are not the problem. We're not the problem. Not at all. Now, the thing about Scorpio risings is we're one of the signs that we have 2 chart rulers, 2 of them. And one of our chart rulers is where? Oh, it's in that Cadent house. It's in the 3rd house. Pluto is in that 3rd house of communication, short distance travel, and siblings. There's a lot of things that we must learn with the 3rd house. But in addition to that, Mars, our other chart ruler, is in the 8th house. This is a secrets house. This can be a death house. This can be a financial house. And in the moment, we might have different things that are going on for us financially that make us understand that for us to be happy with something, for us to feel more content with something, we have to make some changes. And for some of us, that means we have some things that we need to learn, that we need to experience. Some of you all are going to have a lot more fluctuations in travel in the weeks ahead. Why do I say that? Because Mars is about to move into that 9th house. Pluto in the 3rd, Mars in the 9th. There could be a lot of travel in the weeks ahead. Short distance travel, long distance travel, flying across the globe, doesn't really matter. Long distance cruise, if that's what you want to do, I get it. But some of you will most likely be traveling for work or you're going to be traveling because something has happened with a loved one that is very blindsiding to you. Now, why do I say that? This is a new moon in your 11th house of friends, network, clients, and colleagues. Mercury ended its retrograde in your 10th house of career. Again, many people can find themselves having to do additional levels of travel in the weeks ahead for training, for work, to help another, to do something different, run back and forth. Because again, something that we thought was going to work out, go in a certain direction with another person, we're starting to realize that other person's not who we thought they were. So now we have to go back to the drawing board. We have to go back to an old thing. We have to revise our plans. And for many of us, we're going to get busy because of that. We're going to be busy working through that and working with that. And not everybody is going to be prepared for that, but it's the truth. It is definitely the truth. Okay. Putting this in order, we have the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Cups, and the Three of Wands. We have some new information, some new truth, some new understandings about certain people in our surroundings, Three of Wands. And again, it is forcing us to go back to the drawing board. We are rethinking certain partnerships, certain commitments, certain relationships, certain friendships. And it's making us realize for us to connect with the people the way that we wish to in career moving forward, we have to make some changes. And knowing that if we make these changes, it's going to allow for a lot more things to start to come together, given we have this Six of Swords, King of Cups, and Lovers energy. Now, what I love about the Six of Swords is it doesn't matter where we're going next. We don't even have to know where the destination is going to be. We know wherever we go next is going to be better than what we are leaving behind, who we are leaving behind, the partnerships we are leaving behind. With the King of Cups and the Lovers card, there is the potential of new things coming together in partnerships, just not in the immediate partnerships. Because again, by going back to the drawing board, we're going to be looking for the potential of someone else to work with, to be in partnership with, to be committed to. And commitment can mean a multitude of different things. It does not always have to mean a romantic relationship. But for us to be able to make the space that we desire, to have the healing that we're going to desire, we need to be very, very aware of who we're sharing our space with, because that potential is going to be very, very great. Now, the one thing about the Neptune-Mars square, and I didn't really cover this a whole lot in the intro, I'm doing it more in the individual signs, is Neptune is in that 5th house and Mars is in the 8th. This is sexual energy. These are the sex houses. And there can be somebody that comes back around whenever we're doing that step back to the drawing board, when we're going that step back in the other direction, that once we're back in it, we start to see the potential of somebody we didn't see before. And it's not an ex coming back around. It's not that cliche Mercury retrograde stuff. It is the potential of something or someone that hadn't previously been considered, that we hadn't previously thought of. And I don't want people to rush into a connection. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't want people to rush into a situation. Now, some people, you thought you had the potential of a relationship recently, and with Uranus turning retrograde in that 7th house of partnerships, we're realizing maybe they weren't what we thought we were. Maybe they weren't who we thought they were. Sorry, I said that wrong. But just because they're saying that doesn't mean that they're saying the right thing. It doesn't mean that they mean it. And there are times that people have to be prepared before they can connect, before they can commit. And many Scorpio risings are going to see something different in a partnership, in a commitment, in relationship. They're going to see something change in this area. And it doesn't all have to be during the new moon. And what can be rekindled can be a friendship. But what can be rekindled could be something bigger than that. That wasn't initially what I had planned on talking about with you guys, but with the way cards laid out and the way the energy just grabbed me, it makes sense. We're rethinking the way we saw parts of the future. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings. Oh, my loves. Now, what I said in the beginning about what things that we need to understand, you do have a level of understanding to this, but I feel like you guys need to understand something with another person, either with a friend, within a legal matter, within your relationship. There's something that we need to understand that, again, is not directed at us. Now, this is going to be something that you continuously run into anyways, because your chart ruler, Jupiter, is in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. And this is putting a lot of emphasis on the other people. Let's be clear about that part. The square between Neptune and Mars is between your 4th house of home life, and family, and that's 7th house of relationships. The new moon is in your 10th house of career, but Mercury, the ruler of the new moon, the ruler of Gemini and Virgo, is in that 9th house, and that is now in the cadence energy. And there's something that we need to learn, that we need to understand, that can impact the family, that is most likely coming from another person. And it's like, once we get the lesson, once we understand the information, it gives us a glimpse at the future. It gives us perspective. It shows us how we can move forward with something, how we can overcome something, how we can achieve something. We are learning something. We are trying to understand something in this new moon. Is it all going to be reflective in one general energy in one moment? Not necessarily. But it is going to help give you levels of closure, maybe not in the immediate, but it is going to help you understand why closure was necessary in the past. And it is something that is going to teach you something, not just on a personal, physical level, but on an intuitive level, on an empathic level. And that might not be an easy lesson to pinpoint, but it will be in time. And there can be certain people that are coming through in this energy that have the best of intentions, but at the same time, their mindset or your mindset is not ready for the potential of another. This is a very active energy for you guys. Given the relationship house, given that 10th house of career, given that friendship house, this is a very active time for you guys. And again, there is something that needs to be understood, but I feel like the understanding is coming from another person. So we have the Queen of Wands, the King of Swords, and the Lover's card. The lessons from another can give direction, can give enlightenment, can give a path, and it can allow for certain things to come together. It doesn't have to be a actual romantic connection to come together, but Mars in the 7th, many of you are looking at the potential of whatever is coming together with another person. And even if there's not potential in this immediate moment, that doesn't mean that there won't be potential later on. But I do feel like there are lessons to be learned, and they are coming from another person. And again, they're going to allow for you to understand the past, understand what needs to get closed out, understand how we need to let go of something with the 10 of Swords. But for some of you, it is going to be the internalized lessons. Okay. The reason I say that now is because of this High Priestess energy. The High Priestess is highly intuitive. It has to do with the messages that are coming through in your dreams, the little synchronicities that are coming through in the universe, the little animal totems that are coming through to visit you, the praying mantis, the dragonfly, the lizards, the butterflies, the ones that keep appearing over and over again. They are a message. They are telling you something. They were something from the universe. It doesn't always have to be numbers. Sometimes it's through songs. The Strength card, again, the lessons that we are getting from another person is something that is meant to help bolster and restore a certain amount of strength within you. And the support of that other person can allow for that strength to really come through. And that's the one thing that I was really picking up on for you guys. Who you're talking to, who you're sharing your space with, who you're sharing your time with, who you're connecting with. It doesn't have to be romantic for them to be helpful, for this to be helpful, for this to push you forward. It doesn't. But there is something with another person, whether you're traveling with them or traveling with your family, and then you run into somebody else. But it's like you sit down and you have this profound conversation, or you listen to this TED talk while you're traveling, and it's just like you hear this profound message that it speaks levels within you, letting you know again how you can do something different moving forward. And I like it for you. Now, when it comes to Pluto going back into Capricorn for you guys, there can be unfinished business regarding fears around money and assets. Whatever things that we're dealing with in regards to finances, those things are meant to be done by November, whenever it comes to Pluto and Capricorn, but whenever it comes to all of the Capricorn transits, they should be done by early spring. So I'm saying like January, February timeline. Okay. 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 Love it. Let's move along. Let's get going. And we're going to Capricorns and Capricorn risings. Okay, my loves. What I said in the intro about the majority of this energy has a lesson to be understood. Your chart ruler, Saturn, has been in a cadent house since March of 2023. You are learning, you are understanding, you are changing, you are evolving, you are healing. And now we're going into an energy that it's like the universe must test you. Now, some of you, you've already been feeling the test. You've been feeling it for weeks. And you didn't quite know what it was. Well, the Mercury retrograde was the reason why. But all of it is letting you know of an ultimate test, and that is going back to Pluto in your first house. Pluto's back. Now, he's going to be here until November 20th. So I just keep saying Thanksgiving. By Thanksgiving, we're done. But there is a reason for his energy, and it is to test the tenacity, the elasticity of what has healed within you, what has changed. Now, this is a new moon in that 9th house, and that itself is a cadence house. We have lessons to learn. And some of you are going to realize that some of the lessons from before did not stick. Others, however, you're going to realize, I have learned a lot. I have evolved a lot. I have changed a lot. I have grown a lot. And it's going to allow for you to move ahead, potentially travel, but move ahead in a way that we hadn't anticipated. Now, for some of you, there has been loss. There has been frustrations in the workplace. Those were temporary setbacks. That Mercury retrograde being primarily in your 8th house, for a lot of you, there has been a temporary financial setback. But I do mean temporary. I do. Knowing that one of the 2 eclipses is going to be in your 10th house of career. Oh, no. We've had temporary setbacks to again test your energy, to see if you understand, to see if you have evolved, to see if you can shine in a way that you have never been able to shine before, at least not since 2008. And if you go that far back, hell, I stuck with what I said in a way that you've never been able to shine before. All right. We have the Strength card, we have the 5 of Cups, and we have the 5 of Coins. Many of you are going through the energy around the leftover parts of that Mercury retrograde and this new moon in Virgo, wondering what the hell was the lesson? Why did all of this happen? Why did certain things go a certain way? And it can be very easy with the 5 of Coins and the 5 of Cups to be stuck in what we have lost versus what we have the potential of gaining moving forward. And with that Strength card, again, a lot of us need to be focused on not what is lost. Remember, the thing about our energies is like we have to recognize what we are outgrowing and what we need to leave behind, because it makes space for something new. Things that are not meant for us, they do not stick. There's new things coming through. Ace of Wands, the new potential. Some of these potentials can have huge emphasis on financial gains with the Page of Coins. And again, this is the last new moon before we go into eclipse season, and the next new moon will be an eclipse in your 10th house of career. How you are meant to shine, how you are meant to succeed, how you are meant to achieve certain things moving forward. There are lessons to be learned. Now, in the most mundane sense, a new moon in the ninth house, you might be talking to somebody who has traveled a long way. You might be talking about somebody about their financial needs, of how they're going to travel, of how they're going to move. There can be something that we need to understand in the moment, certain connections that need to be made, introductions from people you've never heard of before, that you've never connected with before, that you've never considered before. But these connections for you all can be very, very pivotal, because later this week, Mars is going to move into your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, and commitments. And we are going to anticipate and desire and require, in many ways, actions to come from the other side that help you get over the rut, that help you get past any frustrations and any fears, that help you charge ahead. Now, some of you, when Mars goes into your seventh, that 5 of coins energy, it's going to test the tenacity of your relationship. And for many Capricorn risings, the next 8 months, Mars in your seventh. The first 2 months, Mars direct, he'll go into Leo for 2 months, turn retrograde, come back in January, and then he'll still be there all the way until like April. That's why I'm rounding it the way that I am. Mars is going to test a lot of relationships. It's going to test a lot of partnerships. And some of you are going to go into relationships that you shouldn't be in. Some of you are going to find yourselves getting out of relationships that were no longer meant for you. There's a lot to be learned. And we're at the starting line of what turns, what comes through next, where we go next, and how we are going to improve on the future moving ahead. You got good things coming, as well as the tests. Don't lean too negatively. There's a lot of potential if you allow it to be there. Okay, moving along. We're going to get to Aquarius and Aquarius risings. Oh, my loves. Oh, I went too far. There we go. Oh, now, what I said in the beginning about the things with Cadent houses, and there are things that need to be understood. I don't know that I feel the same way about this for you guys. And here's why I'm saying that. This is a new moon in your 8th house, which is a financial house. Your chart rulers are in between your 2nd house of money and your 4th house of home, home life, and family. I feel like there's some expenses. I feel like there's something that has financially changed for you. And the thing is that financial changes aren't immediately yours. They're another person's. Why? So sorry. It's because Mercury rules that 8th house where the new moon is. And Mercury just stationed retrograde in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. There's something with another person that's impacting your family, impacting your finances, something that is making you reconsider where you're living, who you're sharing your space with, who you're allowing into your house. Sometimes this is going to have to do with your kids and their little friends. And I don't want your little friend over here no more. I'm tired of this bullshit. Why do I say that? Because Mercury also rules your 5th house of love, luck, romance, happiness, joy, and children. Children. Now, some of you, again, there's somebody that you don't want in your house anymore. And you're telling somebody off. You're telling somebody they're going to have to leave in the coming days. That's not an easy thing. We don't want this the same way. For others of you, again, there's going to be something that is changing with a partner that is going to impact the finances, like I said. And the thing is, like, that was a long time coming. Even if we didn't necessarily mean it in the moment, it was definitely a long time coming. Oh, this is the last new moon before we go into eclipse season. It's the last lunation. And there is something that needs to be understood by a lot of people. But for you, the understanding is also having to do with a very hard decision that is going to impact the way you connect with someone, the way you trust them, if you believe them or not. And if things are going to move well with this person potentially in the future or not. Oh, it's a very difficult energy for Aquarius risings. And you guys have already been having a very difficult year with Pluto moving into your first house. But the thing is, now Pluto has just retrograde back into your 12th. Pluto going back into Capricorn, what I said in the month ahead and everything else is like, it's taking us back to the drawing board. It's taking us back to an old way of thinking. It's taking us back to somewhere else. But for many of you, it can be taking you back into a place of insecurity. And that insecurity can be, again, based on what is going on with another person, with that situation, even with your kids, with a legal matter. Doesn't really matter. There's something that can be taking us back to a place of insecurity in many ways, but also taking us back to a place that is going to require healing in other ways. Okay. Okay. So we got some cards here. We have the Justice card, we have the Wheel of Fortune, and we have this Page of Cups. Remember what I said. Mars is also in your 5th house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, and children. Mars is going through a square with Neptune. I didn't really cover that part, actually. What I said is Mercury rules that 5th house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, and children. The Justice card is also a Libra card. And one of the next 2 eclipses, specifically the one that happens in early October, is going to be in Libra. So there is something regarding another person that can be a legal matter, that can have to do with the kids. There could be something else that has to do with like filings around the kids, child support, something along these lines. That is not going to happen very, very quickly, that we need a lot of time for it to happen. And again, it can have to do with another person. We have this we have this Lover's energy right here, but we also have of these other hard energies of the 2 of Cups. Sorry, the 2 of Swords and the 7 of Cups. I just want to keep reversing my cards around. I apologize. You can be forced to make a decision, 2 of Swords, that you didn't think that you were going to have to make, that you didn't want to make, that again, it's taking you back to an old fear. It's very, very overwhelming with the 7 of Cups. And again, it has to do with another person, someone that we've been committed to. Commitments do not have to be romantic for them to be a commitment. It could be somebody from the past that we have a connection to because y'all share kids. Like there's something very much around other people and love and kids and home life and family, and even the potential for many of you of moving, because the 9th house, as much as it is that we need to understand the house, it is also a travel house. Pluto is taking you back even more. And it can make you, again, going back to the drawing board and rethinking the potential of how you're going to charge ahead, of how you move ahead, of how you're going to do something moving forward. And you're not going to have an immediate answer. Now, in the most mundane sense, this new moon can be some type of additional bill, a tax bill, a credit card bill, something that we weren't anticipating. Maybe the kids got a hold of the credit card and now you have to like dispute all the charges and try to get like the credit card company to not allow for them to go through it. And that could be a very mundane way for this to happen. That's just an example. However, I feel like for a lot more of you though, there's something that's going to be changing in the household, changing within the family based off of the actions of another and what has come to light and was exposed in the Mercury retrograde. And that's why we have this 2 of Swords and 7 of Cups energy. We are very, very overwhelmed with making a decision regarding another person that we weren't anticipating. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Pisces and Pisces risings. Oh, my loves, my loves, my loves. Now, what I said in the beginning of what we need to understand, things that are going on that need to be understood. In some ways, yes, but in other ways, we need to be reflective of how much more dominant this energy is for you guys. This is a new moon in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and commitments. Mercury is in your 6th house of health. Some of the commitments that are being made, some of the connections that are being made, some of the promises are being made, some of the legalities that are happening right now, whatever it is, it's reflective of another person. And there is some type of energy that speaks to a payout, given that Venus is now in Libra, in that 8th house. There can be a legal matter that can impact you financially. There can be a partnership involved that is going to impact you financially. In the immediate, maybe not so much. In the long run, yes. In the weeks ahead, yes. Now, Neptune is squaring Mars. Now, Neptune is in your first house of you, your mind, your body, your identity, and it is squaring Mars in that fourth house of home, home life, family, roots, and ancestry. Also, genetics. Given that Mercury is also in that sixth house of health, we can be learning about something either in regards to our health or another person's health. That again, it can be genetic. It can also just have to do with mothers and matrons. And it is going to make us aware of a difference that we're going to be making in regards to care, whether it's our care or someone else's care. There's definitely something coming up that's putting a lot of weight on you that you did not want to do. And as much as you were trying to fight it for so long, something tells me that the decision has been made and you can't continue to fight it. In fact, you're very, very aware that you have to work with it. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to help this other person, albeit you never wanted the job to begin with, especially if it comes down to elders. Now, the thing about Pisces risings is, again, you have Saturn in that first house. There's a lot of weight on you. There's a lot of responsibility on you. And some of the weight, some of the responsibilities are directly impacting the household. It's impacting the family. There can be another thing regarding partnerships or commitments or legal matters that are starting to impact the home life, that are starting to impact the family. And another way we can be looking at is we can go into a legal contract to do something in the household, to do something with the family, because it is a new moon in that seventh house. And it's going to cost money if we're having to do something different in regards to the home life. But there's something that is definitely changing in this area. Refinancing the house, taking on additional debt, taking on additional loans, looking at the idea of working somewhere else because it's going to allow for us to stay in the home that we want to live in, or taking on a different job and a different commitment. And it's going to require us to move potentially. Be aware of that. There's not a whole lot of understanding in this moment per se for you guys, but more along the lines of preparation. I cannot talk, but the Four of Swords speaks to that. Let's start with that one. The Four of Swords, preparation. Now, in the classic deck, this is a man laying on an empty casket with a sword by his side, three swords on the wall. He's about to go into battle. Many of us are in a preparation mode for where something is going to happen next. And the first eclipse that's going to happen is going to happen in your first house. You guys are in preparation mode for some level of change that is going to change around you, your mind, your body, your health. Preparation for things that can definitely bring up fears and overwhelm, depression. Given the Three of Swords and the Nine of Wands, I need you to be prepared that even if we're having a hard moment dealing with the decisions that we made or dealing with the hardships of whatever's going on within the family, you're very, very close with the Nine of Wands to overcoming the battle, overcoming the burden. We just have to keep charging ahead. And it does not help to ask. It's not a bad thing to ask for help. Three of Wands. The next two cards that come through can be as the Queen of Coins and the Knight of Cups. I'm keeping the Three of Wands out. So here's all three. All right. So with the Three of Wands, the Queen of Coins, and the Knight of Cups, there's nothing wrong with being in charge of many, many things, that Queen of Cups energy, but also needing assistance, also needing additional hand, also needing someone that can carry part of the burden, take you to your appointments, take mom to her appointments, do that extra oomph, that extra step, that extra necessity. There's nothing, I don't know why I keep want to say no. There's nothing wrong with saying I need additional help or I need assistance. Now, some of you are about to be the assistants. You are about to have to step in and handle the care, handle the things tied to another person, helping them get through a hump, helping them get through a bad situation. And that might mean opening your home to someone coming into it. Yeah, we have a guest room. I guess you can stay in there for a little while. It's just you. Oh no, I get like 5 people in my guest room. Oh, great. But it's a necessity to help this person get out of the situation, to overcome the moment. With where we're going next, a lot of the focus is going to be on other people, with other people, but it's definitely going to be putting responsibilities onto you. Now, with Pluto going back into Capricorn, Capricorn, of course, is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn again is in your first house. Do not be surprised with Pluto and Capricorn's energy if there's something about a past friend, past clients, past people that we spent our time with and had in our surroundings that are impacting the moment around this new moon, that are impacting the weight of things that are going to later come through in that Pisces eclipse. Don't be surprised by these things. The situation with another person, the potential with another person, the needs of the other person are going to then bring something forth in regards to you in the weeks ahead. Be prepared for that. Okay. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I never do something real heavy on the new moon, full moon closings. Zoom is going to be Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you are wanting to book a one-on-one session with me, again, all of my contact information is listed in the description of every single episode, along with the pricings of different types of readings that can be done. Hit me up with questions, hit me up with concerns. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. And yeah, subscribe.